A gang war between the United Aryan Brothers and the Bloods. And the documents add this war has been going on for about 3 years. We want to warn you, these details are very graphic and disturbing.
Inside Oklahoma's prison system, a gang was born from fear, survival, and a need for protection. It wasn't started by drug dealers or career criminals. It was started by Native American inmates who felt they had no other choice. They called themselves the Indian Brotherhood. At first, it was about unity and protecting each other in a hostile environment, but it didn't stay that way for long. What began as a defensive group soon turned into one of the most violent, organized, and feared prison gangs in Oklahoma history. The beginning, brotherhood or blood. Back in the 1970s, prisons across the U.S. were becoming more violent. Oklahoma's prisons were no exception. Inside these walls, white supremacist gangs, black prison groups, and Latino crews had already formed powerful networks. Native American inmates were often stuck in the middle, outnumbered, attacked, and left without allies. To survive, they formed a group based on shared heritage and culture. They called it the Indian Brotherhood. It was created as a way for Native prisoners to protect themselves from attacks and build a support system in a dangerous environment. But prison changes people, and the Brotherhood began to change too, from unity to violence. The original idea of unity didn't last long. As new members joined, the group became more militant. They developed a structured hierarchy. They introduced strict rules and deadly punishments. New recruits had to go through a blood-in initiation. That meant committing a violent act, usually stabbing or beating another inmate, to prove loyalty. This wasn't optional. If you wanted to wear the colors and claim the name, you had to spill blood. Inside prison, respect means power, and fear builds respect faster than anything else. So the Brotherhood got to work, targeting enemies, controlling cell blocks, and sending a message. They were not to be messed with. Rules and ranks. The Indian Brotherhood operates with a military-like structure. At the top is a council, usually older members with years of experience and respect. These men make the decisions: who lives, who dies, who gets promoted, and who gets punished. Under them are captains and lieutenants, men who control specific units or prisons. Then there are soldiers, the muscle of the gang. These are the ones who carry out attacks, run messages, and enforce the rules. At the bottom are prospects, the new guys trying to prove themselves. The rules are clear, and breaking them means violence or death. No snitching, no disobeying orders, no showing weakness. Total loyalty to the Brotherhood. Members often tattoo symbols of the gang onto their bodies. Common images include Native American warriors, feathers, skulls, or specific letters and numbers. These tattoos are worn with pride, but they also mark you forever. Once you're in for life. A reputation built on fear. The Indian Brotherhood became known for its violence. They weren't just defending themselves anymore. They were dominating. They launched surprise attacks on rivals, assaulted guards, and even killed inmates in public areas. One infamous attack happened in the middle of the prison dining hall. A man was eating lunch when two Brotherhood members walked up and stabbed him over a dozen times. It happened in front of dozens of inmates and correctional officers. Nobody stepped in. Nobody said a word afterward. That's how deep the fear ran. These attacks weren't random. Each hit had a purpose. Some were for revenge, some were for discipline, some were just to send a message. The Brotherhood controls this yard, growing beyond the fence. Eventually, the Indian Brotherhood's influence expanded beyond prison walls. As members were released from prison, many stayed loyal to the gang. They carried the Brotherhood's code into the streets. In cities like Tulsa, Lawton, and Oklahoma City, former inmates formed street crews. They got involved in drug trafficking, robberies, and gun smuggling. Money from these operations was sent back into the prisons to support locked-up members. This outside income helped the gang grow. It allowed them to buy contraband, phones, drugs, and even weapons, and sneak them into prison using visitors, dirty guards, or legal loopholes. Communication between prison and the outside world became more advanced. They used burner phones, encrypted messages, and even had lawyers deliver coded letters. It wasn't just a gang anymore, it was a network. Family and fear. One of the things that made the Indian Brotherhood so hard to stop was how deep their ties ran. Many members had family already in the gang. Sons, uncles, cousins. They all followed the same path. It wasn't just about crime, it was about identity. Some members truly believed they were continuing a legacy of resistance, but that legacy was twisted with blood and violence. Others were trapped. If you grew up in certain neighborhoods or had relatives inside, you had almost no choice. You were recruited young. You were told the Brotherhood would protect you, and once you joined, getting out was nearly impossible. Members who tried to leave were often attacked or disappeared entirely. Law enforcement strikes back. In 2010, state and federal law enforcement launched a major investigation. They had been watching the Brotherhood for years, gathering intelligence, flipping informants, and building a case. That year, over 30 members were arrested in a large sweep. Many were charged with racketeering, drug trafficking, assault, and conspiracy to commit murder. The government hoped that cutting off the head of the snake would destroy the gang. It didn't. Yes, some leaders were taken off the board, but the Brotherhood simply regrouped. New leaders stepped in, the communication lines remained open, and the gang continued to grow, slower, quieter, but just as deadly. The modern Indian Brotherhood today, the Indian Brotherhood still operates in Oklahoma's prison system. They are quieter now. They avoid media attention. They don't always wear colors or flash tattoos, but they're still there, watching, recruiting, and enforcing their rules. Prison staff have reported increased gang activity in certain units. Assaults still happen, contraband still flows, and while some members have tried to leave the gang life, most know it's not that simple. You don't walk away from the Brotherhood. The Indian Brotherhood started as a way to protect Native American prisoners, but over time, it evolved into something far more dangerous. It became a gang built on loyalty, violence, and fear. It's a story of survival that turned into domination, of brotherhood that turned into bloodshed. Even now, their influence can be felt behind bars and on the streets. And for many inmates in Oklahoma, the name still carries one clear message: respect us or fear us. If you found this story eye-opening, make sure to hit that like button. It really helps us reach more people. Have thoughts on the Indian Brotherhood or prison gangs in general? Drop them in the comments below. We read everyone. For more deep dives into the hidden world of organized crime and prison gangs, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We've got more untold stories coming soon. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay safe.